You see, one of the greatest traps we fall into is comparison. We look around at what everyone else is doing, their progress, their success, their recognition, and we start to measure our worth against theirs. But the problem with that is simple. The moment we start measuring ourselves against someone else, we stop improving ourselves. Growth doesn't come from watching others. It comes from understanding yourself. When you're constantly looking sideways, you lose sight of what's right in front of you, your own journey, your own progress, your own purpose. The goal isn't to be better than someone else. The goal is to be better than who you were yesterday. Comparison kills growth because it shifts your focus from progress to pressure. When you constantly measure yourself against others, you stop paying attention to what truly matters, your own development. Instead of celebrating how far you've come, you begin to see only how far ahead someone else seems to be. You trade curiosity for judgment and gratitude for envy. The truth is, no two journeys are the same and no two people are meant to follow identical paths. The moment you start comparing, you lose sight of your unique strengths, your timing, and your potential. Comparison doesn't inspire, it suffocates. It creates a false sense of competition that distracts you from your purpose. You start chasing validation rather than growth. You begin doing things not because they align with your values, but because they make you look good in someone else's eyes. Over time, that external focus erodes authenticity. You stop asking, what fulfills me, and start asking, what makes me look successful? And that question leads to burnout, frustration, and a constant feeling of not being enough. When you compare yourself to others, you are comparing your behind the scenes with their highlight reel. You see their results, not their struggles. You see their confidence, not the doubt they wrestled with in private. You see their success, not the countless failures it took to get there. It's an unfair comparison because it's incomplete. Everyone's journey has invisible challenges and unseen sacrifices. So when you hold yourself to someone else's visible standard, you're fighting a battle you can never win. Growth, on the other hand, requires self-awareness. It demands that you look inward instead of outward. True progress happens when you measure yourself against your past self, not someone else's present. Every small step forward, every mistake learned from, and every fear overcome adds to your growth. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. You grow when you stay focused on your lane, your goals, and your evolution. Comparison also steals joy. You could be achieving something remarkable, something you once dreamed of, yet still feel inadequate simply because someone else has done a bit more. That mindset robs you gratitude and perspective. You forget how far you've come because you're too busy counting someone else's milestones. But gratitude and growth go hand in hand. When you appreciate your progress, find energy to keep going. When you compare, you drain that energy. It's not that others' success should be ignored. It should be admired and used as inspiration, not as a measuring stick. Someone else's achievement doesn't diminish yours. It simply proves what's possible. Instead of saying, "we, not me," ask, "what can I learn from this?" That small shift transforms comparison into curiosity, and jealousy into motivation. The only person you should try to be better than is who you were yesterday. That's the standard that matters. When you focus on improving yourself, everything else aligns, your mindset strengthens, your confidence grows, and your peace deepens. Growth is not a race or ranking, it's a lifelong process of refinement. The more you look within, the more you realize that real success isn't about being ahead of others, it's about becoming the best version of yourself. Comparison kills growth, but self-awareness, pace, and consistency give it life. Progress is personal because it cannot be defined by anyone else's standards. Every person has a different starting point, different challenges, and different goals. What looks like a small step for one person might be a huge leap for another. The danger lies in assuming that progress follows a single path or that success has a universal timeline. The truth is, growth looks different for everyone. It's not about how fast you move, it's about how far you've come from where you started. When you measure your progress by someone else's journey, you rob yourself of the chance to appreciate your own evolution. Personal progress is about understanding your pace, your priorities, and your process. It's about aligning your actions with your values and not with external validation. The world moves fast, and it's easy to feel like you're behind when you see others achieving things you haven't yet reached. But that illusion is dangerous because it makes you chase goals that might not even belong to you. Progress should not be about keeping up. It should be about growing up, maturing into the person you are meant to become, one step at a time. Each phase of life brings different lessons, and comparing your progress to someone else's distracts you from learning the ones meant for you. There will be seasons of growth and seasons of rest. There will be moments of acceleration and moments of stillness. Each one has value. Progress doesn't always look like forward motion. Sometimes it's internal. Sometimes it's the quiet strength to stay consistent when results haven't shown up yet. Sometimes it's learning to let go of what no longer serves you. These invisible forms of growth often matter the most. The challenge is that society loves visible progress, titles, and recognition. But the most meaningful progress happens in silence. It's the shift in mindset, the courage to start again, the discipline to keep going when no one is watching. You might not always get applause for it, but that doesn't make it less significant. Progress is not about proving yourself to others. It's about proving to yourself that you're capable more than you once believed. When you make progress personal, you stop casing perfection. You begin to understand that mistakes are not setbacks. They're lessons. Failure stops being something to fear and becomes something to learn from. Each challenge becomes an opportunity to adapt and evolve. That shift in perspective turns growth into a lifelong process rather than a temporary pursuit. The goal is not to arrive somewhere, the goal is to continually become better. Progress is deeply connected to self-awareness. You can only grow in areas you're willing to be honest about. When you take time to reflect on your habits, choices, you begin to see patterns. You recognize what helps you move forward and what holds you back. That awareness allows you to make intentional improvements, not random changes based on external influence. At its core, progress is a conversation with yourself. It's about asking, am I moving in the direction that aligns with who I want to become? It's realizing that growth doesn't have to be visible to be real. Even when no one notices, every act of discipline, every moment of reflection, and every choice to stay true to your path counts. The beauty of personal progress is that it belongs entirely to you. No one can take it, compare it, or define it for you. When you embrace that truth, you stop racing others and start enjoying the journey of becoming your best self. Intent over insecurity means choosing purpose over fear, clarity over doubt, and direction over distraction. Too often, our decisions are shaped by insecurity, by the need to impress, to fit in, or to prove our worth. When insecurity drives action, we end up chasing recognition instead of fulfillment. But when intent guides us, everything changes. Intent brings focus. It reminds us why we started, what we value, and who we want to become. It grounds us in meaning rather than measurement. Insecurity makes us reactive. It makes us seek validation from others, hoping that external approval will quiet our inner doubts. But the truth is, no amount of applause can fill a void that comes from a lack of self-belief. When you act out of insecurity, you're not really building something for yourself, you're building something to please others. You start saying yes when you mean no, agreeing when you should question, and settling when you should strive. That's not growth, that's survival. It might look productive on the surface, but it's empty underneath. Intent, on the other hand, comes from within. It's the quiet confidence of knowing who you are and why you do what you do. When your intent is clear, your energy becomes aligned. You stop moving out of fear and start moving with purpose. Every action becomes deliberate. You no longer need to compare because you're not competing. You're creating. Intent frees you from the exhausting need to prove yourself and replaces it with the steady desire to improve yourself. Living with intent means making choices that serve your values, not your insecurities. It's about asking, does this decision bring me closer to who I want to be? Rather than, will this make me look good to others? That shift changes everything. You begin to value progress over perception, depth over display, and authenticity over approval. And when you operate from that space, your work becomes more meaningful, your relationships become more genuine, and your confidence grows naturally. Insecurity often whispers lies. It tells you you're not enough, not ready, not capable. Intent answers with truth. It reminds you that growth is messy, that learning takes time, and that confidence is built through action, not waiting. The more you act with intent, the quieter those insecurities become. You begin to realize that courage doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means moving forward despite it. Every step taken with purpose weakens the hold of insecurity. The people who make the greatest impact aren't the ones trying to impress everyone, they're the ones acting from conviction. They don't need to be the loudest in the room because their intent speaks louder than their words. They understand that leadership, creativity, and success are not about perfection. When you're about authenticity, when your action comes from a place of intent, you inspire trust because people can sense when something is real. Intent creates alignment between what you think, say, and do. Insecurity creates conflict between them. One builds integrity, the other builds anxiety. That's why it's so important to pause before making decisions and ask yourself where your motivation is coming from. Are you acting to prove something or to express something? One drains you, the other fills you. At the end of the day, intent over insecurity is a daily choice. It's choosing to act from strength rather than fear, to stay true to your purpose even when doubt creeps in. You won't always get it right, but every time you choose intent, you build confidence. You build trust in yourself, and that's how real growth happens, not from chasing approval, but from living with clarity, courage, and conviction. Everyone has a different timeline, and understanding that truth is one of the most liberating lessons in life. We live in a world that glorifies speed, where faster seems better and success is often measured by how early you achieve it. But life isn't a race, it's a journey, and every journey unfolds at its own pace. When you compare your timeline to someone else's, you forget that their path was never meant to be yours. Each of us has unique experiences and lessons that shape the rhythm of our growth. What's meant for you will come when you're ready for it, not when the world says it should. There's immense pressure to have everything figured out by a certain age. The perfect career, the right relationships, the visible markers of success. But this pressure only breeds frustration and self-doubt. You might feel behind when you see others reaching milestones before you, but that feeling is an illusion. You're not behind. You're simply on your own timeline. Growth doesn't follow a calendar, and fulfillment doesn't come with a deadline. The timing that feels delayed is often the timing that's preparing you for something greater. Every timeline is shaped by different circumstances and choices. Some people find their purpose early, while others take years of exploration to discover it. Some experience success young, while others grow through struggle before they shine. Both paths are valid. What matters is not when you arrive, but how deeply you grow along the way. The experiences that take longer often build the most resilience and wisdom. The slow chapters of your story are not wasted time. They're the foundation for what's coming next. When you embrace your own pace, you give yourself permission to breathe, to learn, and to live without constant comparison. You stop rushing your growth to meet someone else's timeline. You begin to trust that your journey is unfolding exactly as it should, with lessons arriving you're ready to learn when you're learning and opportunities appearing when you're prepared to handle them. Patience becomes your greatest ally. It's easy to look at others and think they're ahead, but everyone is dealing with unseen struggles. The person who seems to have it all together might be fighting battles you know nothing about. And while you're wishing for their speed, they might be wishing for your peace. The truth is, no one's timeline is perfect. Every path has pauses, detours, and unexpected turns. That's what makes it real. The beauty of having your own timeline is that allows authenticity to thrive. When you stop chasing someone else's pace, you start living with intention. You make decisions that align with your values, not with external expectations. You create your own definition of success, one that fits your purpose, not society's checklist. Progress becomes more meaningful because it's yours, built from your effort, your timing, and your growth. Life is not about how quickly you get there. It's about who you become on the way. The waiting seasons, the setbacks, and even the moments of doubt are all part of your unfolding story. They teach you patience, humility, and persistence. When you finally reach your destination, it won't matter how long it took. It will matter that you arrived ready, grounded, and strong. So honor your pace. Trust your process. Celebrate the small steps even when no one else notices. Remember that growth doesn't happen on a schedule, and success doesn't expire. Everyone has a different timeline, and yours is unfolding perfectly in its own time. Energy is finite. Use it wisely. Every day you wake up with a limited amount of mental, emotional, and physical energy. Where you invest that energy determines the quality of your life. Yet most people spend it on things that drain rather than develop them. Worrying about opinions, chasing validation, holding grudges, or fighting battles that don't matter. The truth is, you can't do everything, be everywhere, or please everyone. You only have so much capacity, and how you use it defines not only your productivity but also your peace. Every thought you dwell on and every emotion you feed either moves you forward or holds you back. When you waste energy on comparison, criticism, or control, you leave yourself with less for creativity, focus, and growth. Imagine your energy like a battery. Each negative thought or unnecessary conflict drains it a little more. By the end of the day, you may feel exhausted, not because you worked hard on something meaningful, because you poured yourself into things that didn't serve you. Managing your energy wisely means being intentional about where you place your attention. Energy management is more powerful than time management. You can't control how many hours are in a day, but you can control how much of your energy you give to what matters most. Some tasks recharge you, learning something new, connecting deeply with others, creating or serving a purpose. Others drain you, gossip, distractions, negativity, or doing things only for approval. When you become aware of this difference, you start choosing with more clarity. You begin saying no more often, not out of arrogance, but out of respect for your own capacity. Protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's essential. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't lead love or create effectively when you're running on depletion. Taking time to rest, reflect, and recharge doesn't slow your growth. It sustains it. Constant business without balance leads to burnout. Productivity means nothing if it comes at the cost of your peace. The people who make the biggest impact are not those who do the most, but those who channel their energy into what truly matters. It's easy to give away your energy without realizing it. Every time you engage in unnecessary arguments, scroll endlessly through social media, or replay past mistakes in your mind, you're draining your battery. Energy leaks happen when you don't set boundaries, when you say yes out of guilt or stay stuck in situations that don't align with your purpose. To use your energy wisely, you must become selective. Ask yourself before reacting or committing, is this worth my energy? Will this move me closer to who I want to become? Most of the time, the answer will bring clarity. Focus is a form of energy conservation. When you channel your energy toward a few meaningful goals instead of scattering it across many distractions, you amplify your impact. It's not the number of things you do, but the amount of attention and care you bring each one that creates results. Energy thrives in clarity and dies in chaos. The more intentional you become with your focus, the more powerful your presence becomes. Every choice you make is an investment of energy. Spend it on growth, learning, and connection, not on resentment, regret, or fear. Remember, you recharge through purpose, passion, and peace. When your actions align with your values, your energy expands naturally. Life isn't about having endless reserves, it's about using what you have in ways that matter. So guard your energy like it's your most valuable currency, because it is. Spend it where it counts, and you'll never run out of what truly fuels you. The real competition is within. It's not about who runs faster, earns more, or achieves sooner. It's about who you were yesterday and who you are becoming today. Too often, we look outward, measuring our progress against others, chasing the illusion that someone else's success diminishes our own. But life isn't a race against anyone else. It's a personal journey of evolution. The person you're meant to surpass isn't standing next to you, they're inside you. Growth happens when you stop trying to outdo others and start working to outgrow yourself. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, patience over impulse, and purpose over comfort, you win that inner competition. The struggle is not about being better than others, but about mastering the small battles that happen in your mind every day. The battle between fear and courage, doubt and belief, comfort and growth. These are the real arenas where success is determined. And the more aware you become of that inner fight, the more you realize that victory is not about trophies or recognitions. It's about self-respect. When you make your competition internal, your progress becomes sustainable. You stop being reactive to what others are doing and start becoming intentional about what you're doing. You measure success by your own standards, not by someone else's timeline. That shift frees you from the exhausting cycle of comparison. You begin to focus on consistency rather than competition, progress rather than perfection. It's no longer about proving your worth to the world. It's about living up to your potential. The truth is, external competition can motivate you temporarily, but internal competition transforms you permanently. When you compete with others, you might win a moment. When you compete with yourself, you win a lifetime. Because every small improvement, every bit of growth, every act of courage, every moment of discipline compounds into a stronger, wiser, more grounded version of you. The race within is not about speed, but endurance. It's about showing up even when no one's watching and pushing forward even when it's hard. There will always be people ahead of you and people behind you. That's life. But neither position defines your worth. The only thing that matters is whether you are moving forward. Your growth might be invisible to others, but it's still progress. You might not be where you want to be yet, but you're further than you were. That's victory. Growth is not loud. It's steady. It doesn't always need applause because its reward is inner peace. The real competition within requires honesty, asks you to confront your weaknesses, to face your fears, to hold yourself accountable. It's not easy, but it's the only competition that leads to real fulfillment. You can't fake growth. You can't cheat your way to self-mastery. You do the work consistently, quietly, and courageously. And every time you do, you build integrity. When you understand that the real competition is within, you start to root for others instead of resenting them. You realize that someone else's success doesn't threaten yours. It simply reflects what's possible. You no longer need to compare because you're focused on becoming your best self. That's where true confidence comes from. Not from being better than others, but from being proud of who you're becoming. So stop chasing someone else's pace. Look in the mirror and compete with the person staring back. Outwork your excuses, outgrow your fears, outlast your doubts. The real competition isn't out there, it's in here. And when you win that inner battle, everything else in life begins to align.